Today, we're taking a deep dive into the lives of some of the most influential figures in history, the 12 apostles of Jesus Christ. Who were these men? They came from humble backgrounds: fishermen, tax collectors, and everyday people. Yet, they were chosen to witness incredible events and carry a message that would change the world forever. From the shores of the Sea of Galilee to the far reaches of the known world, their stories are filled with faith, doubt, courage, and sacrifice. So, grab a seat and let's explore the lives, legacies, and ultimate fates of these 12 remarkable individuals. Let's start with the inner circle, the first ones called. First up is Simon, whom Jesus renamed Peter, meaning rock. He was a fisherman from Bethsaida, impulsive and passionate. Peter is famous for his great confession of Jesus as the Christ, but also for his denial of Jesus 3 times on the night of his arrest. Despite this moment of weakness, Peter was restored and became a foundational leader of the early church. He preached the first sermon at Pentecost, where thousands came to believe. Tradition holds that Peter traveled to Rome and was martyred there under Emperor Nero. Feeling unworthy to die in the same manner as Jesus, he is said to have requested to be crucified upside down. His influence is immense, and he's considered the first pope by the Catholic Church. Next is Peter's brother, Andrew. Also a fisherman, Andrew was originally a disciple of John the Baptist. In the Gospel of John, he's the one who first meets Jesus, and then excitedly runs to tell Peter, "We have found the Messiah." Andrew is often seen as the one who brings people to Jesus, like when he brought the boy with the 5 loaves and 2 fish. He was a connector, a bridge builder. After Jesus' ascension, tradition says Andrew preached in areas around the Black Sea and in what is now Greece. He was martyred in the city of Patras, crucified on an X-shaped cross, which is now known as St. Andrew's Cross and is a symbol of Scotland. Now for the sons of Zebedee, James and John, also fishermen and partners with Peter and Andrew. Jesus nicknamed them the Sons of Thunder, likely because of their fiery and ambitious personalities. James the Greater, as he's often called to distinguish him from another apostle, was part of Jesus' innermost circle, along with Peter and John. He witnessed the transfiguration and the agony in Gethsemane. His story takes a sharp turn in the book of Acts, where we learn he was the first of the 12 to be martyred. He was executed by the sword under the order of King Herod Agrippa in Jerusalem around 44 AD. His legacy is particularly strong in Spain, where the famous pilgrimage, the Camino de Santiago, leads to his supposed burial site. His brother, John, is traditionally known as the disciple whom Jesus loved. He was the youngest of the 12 and, like James and Peter, was present for key moments in Jesus' ministry. John is credited with writing 5 books of the New Testament, the Gospel of John, the 3 epistles of John, and the book of Revelation. He was the only one of the 12 apostles who is believed to have died of old age, not martyrdom. According to tradition, he was exiled to the island of Patmos, where he received the visions recorded in Revelation and later died in Ephesus. His writings emphasize love, light, and the divine nature of Jesus, shaping Christian theology profoundly. Let's move on to Philip. Like Peter and Andrew, he was from Bethsaida. In the Gospel of John, when Jesus calls him, Philip immediately goes to find his friend Nathanael and tells him about Jesus. Philip seems to be a practical, somewhat literal-minded person. When Jesus fed the 5,000, it was Philip he asked, "Where shall we buy bread for these people to eat?" He also features in a scene where some Greeks want to see Jesus, and they approach Philip first. Tradition suggests he preached in Greece, Syria, and Phrygia, which is in modern-day Turkey. Accounts of his death vary, but a common tradition holds that he was martyred in Hierapolis. Next is Bartholomew, who is widely believed to be the same person as Nathanael, the friend Philip brought to Jesus. When Philip told him they had found the one Moses wrote about, Nathanael was skeptical, famously asking, "Can anything good come out of Nazareth?" But when he met Jesus, who revealed he had seen him sitting under a fig tree, Nathanael made a profound declaration of faith. "Rabbi, you are the Son of God. You are the King of Israel." After the resurrection, tradition says Bartholomew embarked on extensive missionary journeys, possibly reaching as far as India and Armenia. He is said to have been martyred in Armenia, flayed alive, and then beheaded, becoming the patron saint of that country. Now for Matthew, also known as Levi. His story is one of radical transformation. Matthew was a tax collector in Capernaum, a profession despised by his fellow Jews. Tax collectors worked for the Roman Empire and were often corrupt, enriching themselves at the expense of their own people. Yet, when Jesus passed by his tax booth and said, "Follow me," Matthew immediately left everything and followed him. He even threw a great feast at his house for Jesus, inviting his fellow tax collectors and sinners, much to the dismay of the religious leaders. Matthew is traditionally credited with writing the Gospel of Matthew. After Pentecost, it's believed he preached in Persia and Ethiopia, where he was eventually martyred. Then we have Thomas, often remembered as Doubting Thomas. He gets this reputation from the famous story in the Gospel of John. After the resurrection, Thomas wasn't with the other disciples when Jesus first appeared to them. He refused to believe it was true unless he could see and touch Jesus' wounds for himself. A week later, Jesus appeared again and invited Thomas to do just that. Thomas responded with one of the clearest confessions of faith in the Bible, "My Lord and my God." But his story doesn't end with doubt. Tradition holds that Thomas was one of the most adventurous missionaries, traveling all the way to India to establish a church. The ancient Mar Thoma, or St. Thomas Christians of India, trace their origins directly back to his mission. He is believed to have been martyred by a spear near modern-day Chennai. Let's talk about the other James, often called James the Less or James the son of Alphaeus. He's one of the more obscure apostles, with very little mentioned about him in the Gospels. His title the Less might refer to him being younger or shorter than James the son of Zebedee, not less important. Because he is so seldom mentioned, we know very little about his ministry. Some traditions confuse him with other figures named James in the New Testament, but his distinct identity as one of the 12 is clear. Historical accounts about his later life are scarce, but one tradition says he preached in Syria and was martyred there. Another suggests he was stoned in Jerusalem. Next is Jude, also known as Thaddeus. In the Gospels of Matthew and Mark, he is called Thaddeus, likely to distinguish him from the betrayer, Judas Iscariot. In Luke and Acts, he is called Judas, the son of James. He is another one of the lesser-known apostles. His only recorded words are in the Gospel of John, where during the Last Supper, he asks Jesus, "Lord, why do you intend to show yourself to us and not to the world?" He is traditionally credited with writing the short New Testament letter, the Epistle of Jude. Post-resurrection traditions often link his missionary work with Simon the Zealot. They are said to have preached together in Persia, where they were both martyred. Jude is known today as the patron saint of lost causes. Now for Simon the Zealot. His descriptive name tells us something significant about his background. The Zealots were a political movement in 1st century Judea who sought to incite the people to rebel against the Roman Empire. They were revolutionaries, fiercely patriotic, and opposed to foreign rule. The fact that a zealot was in the same group as Matthew, a Roman tax collector, shows the diverse and even conflicting backgrounds of the men Jesus called. Jesus' message of a spiritual kingdom united these former political enemies. As mentioned, tradition often pairs him with Jude Thaddeus. They are believed to have traveled and ministered together in places like Syria, Mesopotamia, and Persia, where they ultimately met their martyrdom. Finally, we come to Judas Iscariot, the apostle who betrayed Jesus. His name is forever linked with betrayal and tragedy. He was the group's treasurer, but the Gospel of John notes that he was a thief who used to help himself to the money bag. For 30 pieces of silver, he led the authorities to Jesus in the Garden of Gethsemane, identifying him with a kiss. The motive for his betrayal has been debated for centuries. Was it greed, political disillusionment, or something else? The aftermath is equally tragic. Overcome with remorse, Judas tried to return the money and then took his own life. After his death, the remaining 11 apostles chose Matthias to replace him, bringing their number back to 12. And there you have it, the 12 apostles. A diverse group of ordinary men called to an extraordinary purpose. From fishermen to tax collectors, from doubters to revolutionaries, their lives were completely transformed by their encounter with Jesus. Their stories teach us about faith, failure, forgiveness, and the incredible impact a small group of dedicated people can have on the world. Their legacy continues to echo through history, shaping cultures and inspiring millions. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through the lives of the apostles.